Welcome back to another edition of Rise and Grind. Today, we're going to focus on how to make your life better, and some 12 or 11 simple steps about how to look and making your personal life better for all facets of your life. So stay tuned here in just a moment, and we'll be right back. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Rise and Grind. I'm 72 the Architect. And yesterday I tried to record this episode and it just kind of came out glitchy. So I'm re-recording here live on YouTube as well as the Wisdom app. So welcome to all those who are going to be listening to me this morning on Wisdom as well as YouTube. So we're going to remake this episode. So why did I make this episode and how did it really come about? You might be asking. Well, I've got that right here. So I was watching and reading my daily Stoic and thinking about how to make my overall life better. And Ryan produced a great YouTube short or YouTube video, and he talked about 11 Stoic principles that really should make your overall life better. And the number one thing that I would definitely say about all that is that when we put our lives in a constant perspective, we definitely can take advantage of the opportunities that arise. So for yesterday, the Daily Stoic, it said, let us prepare our minds as if we come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's book each day. The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time. That's a very, very um, important question, or I mean, a Stoic topic that I would say, and I I get a lot out of that. Right now, we're in the holiday season, and we're thinking about quite a few things. But the Stoic question is, for the day is, if I live today as if it were my last, what would I do? So when you think about that quote, are you really putting your life in a good, healthy perspective? And when I read that, it made a lot of sense. And that quote that I read was from Seneca, his moral letters. What is it? 107 point B through 8A. So if you buy this his moral letters book, it's probably an excerpt. You'll see that quote. But there were some also other quotes that I came across even today, and I'm glad I'm re-recording this. And this is from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. Now I have two different versions of Marcus's book. One is a new translation by Gregory Hayes and Ryan Holiday. He uses that translation a lot, but I really am enjoying the translated by George Long and Andrew Fila. And this one I got from Barnes and Noble. And there's really two distinctive differences about how they put things. But two quotes really stood out for me. And when you're trying to make your life better, you got to think about how your perspective is performing for your purposes and your process. That's right. Life is a process. You have a process of doing things. There is a nature in you, and there's a nature of things outside of you. So we have to look at that. But when he said in 4.4 really caught my attention. He said, if our intellectual part is common, the reason also is respect of which we are rational beings is common. If this is so common, also the reason which commands us what to do and what not to do. If this is so, therefore, common law also, if this is so, we are also fellow citizens. If this so, we are members of some political community. If this is so, the world in its manner of state. For what others common political community will anyone say that the whole human race are members? But he also goes on to explain, he says, and thence, from the common political community comes also a very intellectual faculty and reasoning faculty and our capacity for law. Where do they come from? For as my earthly part of this position given me from a certain earth, that which watery watery from another element, and that which is hot and fiery from some peculiar source, for nothing comes out of which nothing as returns to non-existence. So also intellectual part comes the source. Now, the reason why I find that so interesting is many of us are in a polarized environment. For those of who see the daily news, we see things that try to make sense and they don't, and we assume about how people should act, how they should treat each other. I was in a discussion, a group discussion about I got invited to a room, something about singles and the new perspective of singles dating as a thought was I brought up, enjoy your time with somebody. Don't forget to enjoy your time. Don't worry so much of the rules of engagement or how the character of one another has to be with your company, but enjoy your time and look at the perspective of all facets of their life. Not what's wrong, but what you enjoy. And I think that even in relationships today, we get lost in the rules and we want to be honored. We want to be trusted. We want to be truthful. Well, I, for one, cannot say I've always been truthful. And I, for one, can also say that I've not always been trusted and vice versa. But the real point is how we put those perspectives, what someone should do and how they should act, that really is a very subjective opinion. You have cultural aspects, you have financial aspects, you have internal peace aspects. You don't want to be with somebody who takes all your energy out of the way. But sometimes we find ourselves with people that exactly do that. And I can say I've been an energy vampire a time or two, but I've also been conscious, and aware of what my capacity is and what I can do to others. So as I've gone down this road to really change my life and really improve exactly what matters to me, is that I had to reconcile with my grievances, how I did things and how things kind of fell apart sometimes. And we cannot forget that. We have to remember we are here only once. And in the Daily Stoic this month, by Ryan Holiday's one page, he talks about the month of mortality. As the year comes, we're getting ready to think about the new planting of season and harvest for the next year. We got to think about, our own morality. Why are we postponing our good behavior or good actions or, the good times for later, unless you're really working on the now? So I kind of like how he looks at aspects of death, hey, if you were to die today, what would your plans really matter? And Marcus Aurelius really went over that. So we're going to get right back into, how we actually make a difference and start recognizing better ways to walking with ourselves and others, right? So how can we make this life better on a daily? Number one, start thinking smaller. I say this because you complete the smaller things more consistently. The dreams that you really have really set yourself for and the goals that you've made end up coming to fruition. Your word, your thought, your belief. You really wanted something strongly inside. Guess what? It's only a matter of moments. It's only a matter of steps away from you. But there are interruptions with things that come and be. And that's we have to realize is that we cannot let ourselves get out of hand. And this is why taking things in smaller steps really actually smooth and steady, equates to fast because it's consistent. So when we think about these things, we got to think about, well, how am I going to really make a difference in my life? Am I always going to keep evolving and making dreams and goals that never come to be? Well, that's where you're going to have to really change your nature, which moves on to the next step. Changing your nature is going to take work. So, yesterday when I was watching Ryan's video, his number two was join a program for personal progress. Now, that's very important and it's very subjective because he doesn't mean just like go out and join any program. He's really intending, and the Stoics did this. They had leisure, they had mindset meetings. They have what we call masterminds, and those masterminds develop disciplines and programs to actually help them become stronger physically, mentally, and spiritually so that they can make fiscal decisions. They can be responsible for their families. So, joining a program, whether it be in a group or small or just even personal, can make tremendous amount of difference. As an example, I joined a colleague and friend of mine who happens to be on the Today Show, and her name is Barbara Majeski, and she has this holiday challenge that started November 1st. And the agreement is that you'll work out for 30 minutes a day until Christmas, and just to see where you go with that. And what I really enjoy, every day you've gotta go into the Facebook group and you have to log in your workout. You take a picture of you working out or exercising, maybe your shoes or something, you're doing something important. But the point is I started October 29th, a few days before November 1st, so that I could not wait for a Monday workout, but really it took place and started on a Tuesday. But anyways, the point is that I needed to do something better than I've been doing, and I delayed working out. I paid for a gym membership for years. Matter of fact, I quit the same gym I just rejoined back in March, but now I go pretty much every single day. There are a few days where I don't actually go to the gym and I go for a run, I go for a walk, and that also is good. So 30 minutes is very important. So in those walks, in that program, in that accountability group, I'm actually making a difference in myself. I'm freeing up my mind, I'm freeing up my body because your body does keep the score. Your body will hold all those thoughts and you will be stiff, you will be stressed, your muscles will ache, you have a hard time falling asleep. So joining a progressive program that's going to benefit you might be a good thing. And sometimes that means not just physical but mental training as well. So me committing and making exactly a daily stoic every day, and I journal every day, without fail. And a matter of fact, I just finished my journal that I started 2 years ago. And like I said, I read this book, The Daily Stoic, by Ryan Holiday, 360 Meditations on Wisdom, Perseverance, and the Art of Living. So by reading this every day, that is a discipline that has got my mindset thinking, asking me periodical questions. So that's very, very important to remember. So next up, after joining a program for personal progress, decide who you want to be. I think this is very, very important. And then the reason why I put this number 3 and not number 1 is because you know what? We don't know a lot of times who we wanna be. We know things we like, we know things that we'd wanna add to us, but deciding who you wanna be and who you are huge. All changes that are gonna come to be and improvements will come because you've made a decision. So take yourself seriously, take yourself rationally, but not too serious. Allow some wiggle room, and enjoy, um your personal development. We don't have we can't always worry about the rules, about what's in life. And Matthew McConaughey would say in his not only his book, but a movie called Dazed and Confused, as you get older, they try to put more rules on you. And how more true is that? We are constantly debating about rules in life. We are telling people exactly how you need to behave, become. I mean, what are the hottest headlines in the news? Like, for example, Kanye West was in the news yesterday, and because of his an interview that he did, and he said that basically that he liked Hitler and the Nazis to a degree. Now, I'm paraphrasing him, so forgive me, but what he's saying is a radioactive thought process. Now, to me, you can like whoever you want, but doesn't mean you always align with everything that they do. So do you know who you are and who you want to be with your decisions is very, very important. And it doesn't mean that you're associating with all aspects, good or bad, of them. You're just maybe saying certain things. So people were just saying he's anti-Semitic, he's problematic, this guy's crazy, and people are losing their minds over this guy, right? But I've heard more people create rooms and talks about Kanye, on Clubhouse and other places than I would like. And that's the popularity of someone's nature that people will pay for. And what does that do to me? So I decided, you know what? This guy is not really that important to me. You can like whoever you want. I'm not here to decide because when it comes to, say, like freedom of speech, you've got to understand that freedom of speech also represents the vile, the the people that you would not want in power. You can say, and they can say also, but it's when we choose that moral character of how someone has to be. No, you've got to decide who you need to be. You need to decide how you're going to react to whatever you listen and whatever you come to, which leads on to my next big point. Ryan also went on to say, he's like, associate with the people how to make you better and whom makes you better. Now, that's a really tricky statement. Associate with people who make you better. And how? Now, it has been said through many Stoic philosophers. I believe Zeno was the first one that ever said it. Show me who the five people who you hang around the most, and I'll show you who you are as the average of those people. Well, when I was in that talk with how, about singles, how to be in a relationship, I broke it down in the equity of the nuptials, and when you pick a partner, what are their friends like? What are their family like? Where are their impulses and influences from? That's really deciding an important factor because people may not disclose really who they are, but they'll show their behavior by the average behavior that they're around. And so when we say to each other, "Hey, I want to become wealthy. I want to improve my life," I'm going to have to start changing a lot of things, and that means the nature in which you spend your money, the nature in which you you act on impulse or not at all. So there's also that phrase that it's not about what happens to you; it's what happens for you, based on your perceptual value and how you react. That's very important to look at those things. But if you are constantly around people that are making things in such a way where you are uncomfortable and stressed, guess what? You are going to be stressed and you're going to promote stress. So it's not just being around even healthy and smart people is enough. You can be toxic, but eventually the people that you're around, if you're out of sync with them, they will start ignoring you and the herd moves away. So when we look at these radioactive environments, like when people are talking about, like, say, like Kanye West, it's like, well, if you're all talking about him, what are you doing really better for yourself? And these same people I literally witnessed the day before talking about, should women really get 50% of a man's fortune and revenue um, in a divorce? These same people, like, what does she really do? And I was just like, you know what? That is literally chaos in my mind, because when I look at my partner, she's equity. She does a lot of things for me. She cooks, she helps clean, with me sometimes, and I with her. She raises my daughter, when I'm at work, when I'm doing things, and we are working that beautiful part of our relationship where, we're going to come into matrimony, and that's something that I really want. But, you know, to really be together and live together and to go into marriage with a good heart and good intentions and good discipline also means that we know that who we're around, how we're going to react, and what we're going to do positively. So when you're associating with people, um, with good people, you're going to focus forward. That means you're going to have to start acting, thinking, being consistently in a better way. You're going to face obstacles with a sense of zeal, a sense of, hey, I'm going to do this no matter what. So like I said in the holiday challenge on Facebook, I'm with literally more than 100 people that go in, put their time every day, and for 30 minutes they post, they exercise, and guess what? We've had meetings once a week. We talk about exactly how our daily lives have improved. Me, I've lost 22 pounds um, since I started, and I didn't expect to lose that much weight. But when I started getting my body in action with others, the like-minded thoughts started coming up. We all started thinking, and guess what? We started discerning the unhealthy things away from us. So when we do this, it's not just good enough, like I said, to be around good people. You're gonna have to get in action. You're gonna have to start developing a mindset. It doesn't matter what step you start at, it's that you do. You do no matter what. And you can alter your program, you can alter the plan, you can make a plan, you can establish a blueprint. But at the end of the day, you must understand what is necessary for things to change. You're going to make improvements. This is going to be an addition to you, which next means comes up to my next point, developing the muscle. This means no matter what and where and how things are going, you are going to start building a life that matters to you. So exercise, that means physicality, spirituality, and mentality. All these things are a part of you. If you don't work out that mental muscle, you are paralyzed, you're lazy, you're not getting what you want, you complain. But if you are exercising your muscle correctly and you're approaching it with a great sense of dedication, then here's what's going to happen. More than likely, you're going to start acting better. You're going to leave aside the unhealthy things and the unhealthy actions, and also means that you're going to stop being around unhealthy people, kind of like my last point about associating with people that make you better, that people will challenge. It doesn't mean there's one common thing that's going around, and I really can't stand this. And I had to correct a friend about this. I had to say, he was telling me, we need more people to hold us accountable. And this is where I'm going to say bullshit. You don't need more people to hold you accountable. That means that you are creating a handicap to some degree. Now, there are times you will get that, but the self discipline, building that muscle, your own accountability comes first, because the problem with having people hold you accountable gives an emotional and mental leverage points, and they could use that. I trust people to be themselves, and that means they have their own self-interest. And with those self-interests, it also means that, what, they could be holding you to something that you have not calibrated correctly. Your standards are disproportionate to your abilities. So when I say be accountable for yourself first before you ask anyone, friends or family, you need to know the measure of you before someone else really does, because you know what? They may not like how you're doing it, and they may have an opinion to influence you and get you thinking in a disproportionate way that you can't keep up. So we got to understand that. So leads on to my next point. After developing the muscle, you're going to have to free up precious resources. What does that mean? We complain about time, many of us. But if we're looking at your activity on your phone as an example, your phone will track all the clicks, all your views, your eyes on that app, that information, that connection point. It's very important that you know that when you say you don't have time for the good things, then guess what? You have created that paradox. You are not exercising. You are creating your own problems. And you know what? That accountability that you talk about so much isn't worth the dime that you put into it. Because why? Because your plate is too full. Take off the responsibilities that don't belong to you. And that means taking on someone's emotional burden all the time. That means that you have to understand proportionately every single day that you're going to look at what matters to you. Because when you're in the charge of yourself and others, being in charge is not always what it's cracked up to be, but it definitely means that you are going to take it seriously, because the results of your care equate to what you will get and how you'll become. So if you're poor, you're broke, you have a bad relationship with money, more than likely it's because you've created this nature about yourself and you've nurtured it by creating excuses. So maybe if you look at, for example, going out to having fast food every day and spending 12 to 15 to $20 just to go out to eat, as opposed to making yourself, if you look at that 5 days a week and you're at work, then if you looked at a meal, say like I prepped mealed, from my leftovers and interchanged those, for the next 4 days, then guess what? You've probably more than likely spent $4 to $5. So that's a significant drop in what goes out and what you keep in. Also, when you look at your bank, you're going to look at the consistency of those minus mark, minus mark, minus mark. And so it drives us to want to infinitely go after things that may not be good for us. We talk about creating revenue streams and passive income. But what I would also say, how can you really have all those things if you've never cleaned up the attitude that you use towards how you use your resources and money? So it's not how much you make, it's how much you can save at the end of the day. So when we look at, freeing up your resources, well, if you're able to save more, actually program, say, like you wanted to go to Hawaii next year in May or something like that. Well, are you going to go into debt for that vacation? And how many times is it coming out of your mouth that, look, I need a vacation, I need a vacation, I'm stressed, I'm stressed, I'm stressed. Well, guess what? According to Abraham Hicks and Ask and It's Given, what you say is what you do. The words follow the actions, and the actions will produce a result. So guess what? You're needing a vacation. You're not really enjoying yourself, and you're not aware of the dangers that come across your attention. So free up your plate of responsibility. If your kids need to help you out in the house, take out the trash, make their bed, then so be it. Don't worry whether it's going to harm them emotionally. Only consider, like, hey, the resources to help you, to help me are very important. Which leads up to my next important point, and this is about lists. Use physical reminders. Now, we have our phones, many of us, and we can create in notes in our calendar about important events and things. Lists can be helpful, but don't overburden yourself with lists, right? Too many times we put things on lists that are unfathomable and it takes a lot of time. And when we get to that stressor, it's like, oh, I can't get anything done. Create time blocks, create avenues for success. And that means sometimes using post-it notes. I have them all over all the time, on my desk, and I take them off as like, okay, I make appointments by this date. I'm going to attend to this reminder. And it's very important for me to complete and to complete that. So that's also freeing up my space so that I can do things better. I've created the discipline. I've created the reminder, like, hey, if it needs to be reminded, then it's going to take place. Just understand that. Which leads on to my next big point: binge on good habits. And this is from Ryan. you know, in my presentation, Ryan talks about being in good habits, routines, good habits, which can be exercise, meditation, reading, focus, quiet time, time to learn, cooking meals. These are all positive habits that will come out of you. And you know what? And more than likely, they will be a healthy resource, a bank of goodness that will fuel you, that will give you a perspective and not just going according to hearsay. Many of us out there are too busy comparing, or I heard this, I heard that, I see this from others, but never taking yourself seriously. But if you create those good habits, you are always prepared, or more likely you're prepared for the tough times ahead, or the good times. You've got to learn how to train yourself to have good habits so that you can appreciate good times. I don't think that we do that enough. Many of us will say out there that we're trying to train against bad times. Well, if you're always training against bad, then how can you appreciate the good? So look at that very, very carefully. Next up, this means pick yourself up when you fall or fail. It's very, many of us will say, it's so hard, Jason. It's so hard. How do I do this? Well, too many times when you get stuck in your own mind, you've got to ask yourself, is this an injury or am I hurt? Now, if you notice, the body reacts to your thoughts, right? And there's no doubt about that. Understand, when you are hurt or when you're injured, your hurt is a feeling. Your injury is actual a physical condition. Your injuries will heal, if you have the right things in place to help you heal. Regardless. Now, it can, heal faster, or it may take some time, but it really is a matter of your mindset. Some people lament on, say, like how they broke their hand years ago, and it's the reason why that they can't grip something. Well, physical therapy is an important thing, but understand that your hurt is a mental process. Your hurt is an emotional reflection on pain, and it holds on to it. So you got to be careful of that, because there are plenty of us out there that will blame somebody, really and prospectively, on hurt of the past. I call this pink slipping. And why is pink slipping so important? Pink slipping is important because If you're holding on to something or someone who did you wrong and you constantly toss it out there, more than likely you're the one with the problem and not them. I've dealt with this in almost every single relationship I've had, regardless of who they were and who I'm with. It's happened, and I've done it too. I'm not innocent of this shit. But what I will say at the end of the day is that did it do you any good? There's a I forget where I read it. It was like, your mental hurt is like a parasite that will weave like like a worm digging away and eating away at your flesh and your mind, and you're no therefore ahead. You ever notice that how some people, elderly, senior citizens, are really bitter and they complain all the time, or they're extremely happy. Now, this becomes because of the dichotomies and the related relations you've had in the mind and you've held on to. There are too many people talking that we need to heal ourselves. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? If you really want to heal, ask yourself, what are you hurt and how you're going to get up. If you don't know how to get up and you're paralyzed, seek a professional. This is important to you. And if you don't do this, I'm doing this myself. I take my counseling, my therapy sessions very, very important. And the reason why they're so important is because I process things that matter to me, like, how I'm going to get married, how I'm going to get, for example, my kid back, through a custody battle. I am positive I need to do changes with myself. So when I receive those people, those things, I can treat them to the best of my ability. Picking yourself up means, yes, you may be hurt for a little bit, but you're only going to be injured for a little bit, but you're going to have to decide that and why it's so important. No one is gonna come people will say, "Well, I need a motivation," or something like that, and like I said, they'll say, "I need to heal, I need to heal, I need to heal," but I'm gonna ask you, what is it that you need to heal about? Number 1, and if you don't know, then stop yourself from complaining, stop yourself from expressing to others about how you need to heal or they need to heal, and get to it. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to today and in this moment of that hurt and of that pain to be continuing to be an injury in my life? That means maybe I don't want to exercise because I'm stuck. And yeah, it sounds easy. Of course, it sounds easy. Anything that is done in life sounds easy. But the reality is that there is going to be difficulties in this process. You're going to have to challenge and push yourself no matter what really matters. To me, what really matters is getting to the honesty, the trust that I want from my family. But more or less, I want trust of myself, the honesty that I'm actually going to live with. And when I look at those things, guess what? My processor is better. Now, those are some of the, I believe, what is it, 11 things that I stated? Wait, one, two, three. Nope. Actually, there's one more that I'm missing. Excuse me. I need to find it on my list. There was one important thing. Oh, yeah, excuse me. Oh, yeah, we can't forget, let's see, freeing up, associate, lay out your supplies. That was the one thing that I was missing earlier. Lay out your supplies. So if you wanna better yourself, you wanna get stronger, you wanna lose weight, you wanna look better, you wanna feel better, organize your desk to where it's ready to use. Organize your room, make your bed, do things that are gonna matter, right? Every day. If you're gonna go to the gym, one thing about me, when I get up early in the morning, I already have my gym clothes right on a chair. I put them on within 10 minutes of me waking up. I drink the water, I put on my clothes, I look at myself in the mirror, ready to go do this, and I'm out the door, go to the gym, and I go spend 30 to 45 minutes. I come back, I do my reading and my journaling, and then guess what? It's a process to develop. So I hope that all these have really helped you as it's helped me. So we'll go over them real quickly. Things, thinking smaller. That's one. Join a program for personal progress. That's two. Decide who you want to be. Number three, have your supplies ready. That's number four. Associate with people who make you better. Develop the muscle. You know, free up precious resources, use physical reminders, binge on good habits and pick yourself up when you fall or you fail. It's very important that you all understand that. Well, that's all the time that I'm going to have on Rise and Grind. So this is a re-record. If you want to check this out on YouTube, um, subscribe and leave a comment. Let me know what you think, or you can send me a message here on Wisdom in the back channel and let me know how it could change your perspective. And I need more subscribers. I know that I make a difference in people's lives. So share this, share it with somebody who might need it. And that's a great opportunity. Anyhow, well, that's all the time. Like I said, we'll see you all next time on Rise and Grind Monday morning at, I believe, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I'll be hopefully posting what that episode's going to be over the weekend. So be mindful, look on YouTube. It'll tell you my schedule. All right, y'all, take care.